If you look at the scale, destruction, and global impact of World War II, it is often described as the deadliest conflict in human history, a war that involved dozens of countries, millions of soldiers, and entire populations caught in its path, reshaping borders, economies, and the future of the world itself. Yet the strange and unsettling truth is that this war did not begin suddenly or without warning, but grew slowly out of the unresolved consequences of the war that came before it, the tensions that remained beneath the surface, and a series of decisions that, step by step, moved the world closer to another global conflict. At the end of World War I, many believed that the devastating losses and destruction would prevent such a conflict from ever happening again, leading to the creation of agreements and treaties designed to maintain peace, the most significant of which was the Treaty of Versailles, which imposed strict conditions on Germany, including territorial losses, military restrictions, and heavy reparations, measures intended to prevent future aggression, but which instead created economic hardship, political instability, and a deep sense of resentment among the German population. This environment of frustration and uncertainty provided the conditions for new ideas and leaders to emerge, and among them was Adolf Hitler, who rose to power by appealing to national pride, promising to restore Germany's strength and challenging the limitations imposed by the post-war agreements, gradually consolidating control and transforming the country into a state driven by expansion, militarization, and a desire to overturn the existing order. As Germany began to rebuild its military and reclaim territory, other nations watched with concern, yet their responses were often cautious, influenced by the desire to avoid another large-scale war, leading to a period of appeasement, where actions that might have been challenged earlier were allowed to continue in the hope that conflict could be prevented. However, this approach ultimately failed to stop the expansion, and instead allowed it to grow stronger. The situation escalated further when Germany invaded Poland in 1939, an act that triggered responses from countries that had pledged to defend it, leading Britain and France to declare war, marking the beginning of World War II. And once again, alliances and obligations drew multiple nations into a conflict that quickly expanded beyond its initial boundaries. What followed was a war unlike any before, characterized by rapid movements, large-scale battles, and new technologies that changed the nature of combat, including tanks, aircraft, and advanced communication systems, creating a form of warfare that was both faster and more destructive, affecting not only soldiers on the battlefield, but also civilians in cities targeted by bombing campaigns. The war spread across continents, involving Europe, Africa, Asia, and the Pacific, with key events such as the expansion of Japanese forces, the involvement of the United States after the attack on Pearl Harbor, and the shifting dynamics of alliances that shaped the course of the conflict, turning it into a truly global struggle. One of the most profound and tragic aspects of the war was the human cost, not only in terms of military casualties, but also in the suffering of civilians, including events such as the Holocaust, which revealed the extreme consequences of ideology and the devastating impact of policies driven by discrimination and violence, leaving a legacy that continues to influence how history is remembered and understood. As the war progressed, the balance began to shift, with key battles and strategic decisions weakening the Axis powers and strengthening the Allied forces, eventually leading to the defeat of Germany in Europe and the end of the war in 1945, followed by the conclusion of conflict in the Pacific after the use of atomic weapons, marking a turning point not only in the war itself, but in the nature of global power and technology. The end of World War II did not simply bring peace, but also led to a new global structure, with the emergence of new alliances, the division of regions, and the beginning of the Cold War, showing that the consequences of the conflict extended far beyond its immediate conclusion, shaping the political, economic, and social landscape of the modern world. And when you step back and look at the entire sequence of events, what makes the origin of World War II so striking is how it was built on unresolved issues, how the attempt to create peace after one war contributed to the conditions for another, and how a combination of decisions, actions, and reactions gradually led to a conflict that affected nearly every part of the world. And that is the strange origin of World War II, a war that did not begin in a single moment, but grew out of the past, shaped by the present, and ultimately changed the future, reminding us that history is often a continuation of what came before, and that understanding those connections is essential to understanding the world we live in today. And yet, what makes the story of World War II even more profound is not only the scale of its destruction or the number of nations involved, but the way it revealed the true complexity of global systems, showing how political decisions, economic conditions, and human behavior can combine in ways that are both powerful and unpredictable, creating outcomes that extend far beyond the intentions of those who set them in motion. The war demonstrated that conflict on such a scale is rarely the result of a single cause, but rather the culmination of multiple factors, each contributing to a situation that becomes increasingly difficult to control as it develops. One of the most significant aspects of the war is how it changed the way the world understood power. Because before this conflict, power was often measured in terms of territory, military strength, and traditional forms of influence. But World War II introduced new dimensions, including technological advancement, industrial capacity, and the ability to mobilize entire populations in support of a common goal, transforming the nature of conflict and setting new standards for what it meant to be a global power. The war also highlighted the impact of ideology, showing how ideas can shape actions on a massive scale, influencing decisions that affect millions of lives, and demonstrating both the potential for unity and the dangers of division, as different nations and groups pursued their visions of the future, sometimes at great cost. This aspect of the war serves as a reminder that ideas are not just abstract concepts, but forces that can drive real-world outcomes, for better or for worse. At the same time, the human experience of the war reveals a deeper layer of the story. Because beyond the strategies, the battles, and the political decisions, there were individuals, soldiers, families, and communities whose lives were directly affected, each with their own experiences, challenges, and moments of resilience. These personal stories, though often overshadowed by the larger narrative, provide a more complete understanding of the conflict, reminding us that history is not only shaped by leaders and events, but by the people who live through them. The aftermath of the war brought both change and reflection, as nations worked to rebuild, to redefine their roles, and to establish systems that could prevent similar conflicts in the future, leading to the creation of international organizations, agreements, and frameworks designed to promote cooperation and stability. While these efforts have had varying degrees of success, they represent an attempt to learn from the past and to apply those lessons in a way that benefits future generations. Another important outcome of the war was the acceleration of technological and scientific development, as the demands of the conflict drove innovation in areas such as communication, transportation, and medicine, advancements that would later influence civilian life and contribute to the development of modern society. This dual nature of progress, where advancements can arise from difficult circumstances, highlights the complexity of history and the interconnectedness of different aspects of human activity. And yet, despite all the changes that followed, the story of World War II remains a powerful reminder of the importance of understanding the conditions that lead to conflict. Because by examining the factors that contributed to its origin, it becomes possible to identify patterns, to recognize warning signs, and to consider how similar situations might be approached differently in the future. When viewed from this perspective, the war is not only a historical event, but a source of insight into how systems function, how decisions are made, and how outcomes are shaped by the interaction of multiple forces, offering lessons that extend beyond the specific context of the conflict and into broader considerations about cooperation, responsibility, and the impact of human choices. So the next time you think about World War II, it is worth remembering that it was not just a series of battles or a collection of events, but a complex and interconnected story that continues to influence the world today, shaping the structures, relationships, and perspectives that define modern society. And that is the deeper story behind the strange origin of World War II, a story that reflects both the challenges and the possibilities of human systems, and that serves as a reminder of the importance of understanding the past as a way of navigating the future.